Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss, and we got a special guest with us, another part of Main Gang. This is several times he's been on with us. He's just another part of the show. What's up, Chris Walker?
What's going on, Jeff Doss and Alex Damon? How you guys doing tonight?
Good. Glad you're here, man. Makes it a whole much better.
Glad to be here. It's always fun getting on the show with you guys.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah, lots of fun. Guys, make sure you are sharing the podcast and sharing the show right now. Put it in all the groups, put it everywhere. Join us live. And guys, we had a great show last week with Hector Santiago Jr. A lot of guys had messaged me about it, how cool it was. So I hope that you guys are sharing it and going back and watching. I know there's a lot of people from our show that watch us, insiders, that probably don't know who he was and aren't, are currently in the sport that don't know. So this is a great time and show to learn about the history, which is one of the goals that we had bringing this podcast out. So,
you know what I kind of liked about the show too? It was kind of funny because Hector was so cool to talk to, and we went into the whole details of it. He, in a really nice way, respectively, was like, Alex, you're really nothing to write home about. Did you notice that? I mean, I said it like in the nicest way. He was like, yeah, I mean, I don't think I ever saw you do anything, but I'm sure you were good. You didn't pick up on that? That was just me? I don't know. I laughed, all right? And immediately I was like, yeah, checks out.
Yo, Alex, Lee's talking about you, the Vikings, man.
Oh, yeah, baby. He's better than my fantasy football team. Dude.
Yeah, bro.
I picked up the player of the week and just let him sit on the bench, and then Angel whooped the heck out of me. What did we go? I'm gonna go look at that right now.
That'll be probably his first win his only win of the season. So,
46.5 points just sitting on the bench. Meanwhile, I had someone in there getting a 0. Whatever.
Well, all I'm saying right now,
baby.
Right now, my team is at like 150 points, and it's only the second half, and I have Josh Allen. Josh Allen already has almost 30 points for me tonight in the first half. So maybe I'll hit 160. I don't know, 160 something tonight. So that'll be great. Yeah. All right. So, all right, guys. So before we get into our show, which we have a great show for you guys, talking about judging, forms judging, lots of different things. We're going to talk about Chris's first tournament that he did a couple weeks ago. We're going to talk about the Queen City Nationals that I was at over the weekend, and lots of cool things. But if you could see our new emblem down at the bottom, we are sponsored by K-Talk Nationals, which is in New York City, November 24th and 2024. Sorry. And man, the Diaz has put on a great event each and every year in New York City. It has become just like the tournament to go to up north. And you know what? It's the way that a lot of people end their year. I've been several times. It is always just full of talent. And it's truthfully like the tournament we've always wanted for New York, like just so much talent. It's jam-packed. I don't know how they get it all done in one day. There's so many people there, and it's just fun. So they have a lot of cool things planned for this year, but we're going to be continuing to talk about them throughout this month and get you guys more information about K-Talk. And, so Alex, what do you guys say?
No, I think that's going to be an exciting one. I'm glad that, they're partnering with the show, and we're going to continue to, talk about the event and all the things that they can do. But Rick and Sue are great people, man. I mean, they've had a lot of people that have been affected by the team and just by the tournament in general. It's always exciting. But isn't Rick? I mean, I know Rick kind of gets up there in age sometimes, and it's like, maybe you don't see him as much as you used to. He has that kind of Godfather feel to him, though, doesn't he?
Rick does.
He's like the Godfather of sport karate.
Right. Yeah. Rick is a great guy. And man, I tell you what, Sue is that one that is just always supporting everybody, but she's gonna speak her
Let you
mind,
know.
and you gotta love that,
Yeah.
and let you know it. So you gotta love that
Yeah,
about
she's a
her.
good lady. She means it all with a good heart too. So like, you know what I mean? So that's always what I loved about them. They keep it real, but they and they do it out of kindness. They're good people.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, guys, we're going to talk more about them as we go. But again, go ahead and mark that on your calendar. Go ahead to, I believe, Uventex to sign up for that and get registered. Also, they are a part of USA Sport Karate as well. So, while we are talking about that, let's go ahead into Chris. Chris, you had your first tournament after all these years, man, and it was a USA Sport Karate event in Georgia. How'd it go, man?
With all tournaments, they had ups and downs, but we persevered through some of the downs and end up having a great regional event down here in Georgia. We pulled through from a lot of the schools down here and had a good showing. I mean, there was a bunch of tournaments everywhere on the same weekend. It was the 14th, so GBK had their event. Jesse had his event. Like there were a bunch of events all over the place. So it was great to partner with USA Sport Karate. Damien, Jeremy, Dave Scalar, like we had a great group. My instructor came up for the event, which was super cool for me. Trav popped up. We talked about it months and months ago, and then out of nowhere, like he texted me like, "Hey man, what time is the tournament tomorrow?" It's like, "Oh, you're really here." So it was super excited to be able to put on an event. A lot of learning experiences, bumps, like I said, bumps in the road for a lot of different things, but learning how to navigate through that. Jeff, I told you you reached out to me. I reached out to you a while beforehand, and I didn't do it again. But I'm definitely going to pick your brain about a couple of things, and it was a great time. I was going to mention that Rick and Sue are USA Sport Karate as well, now up in New York. So growing and moving and looking to bring some cool things to Sport Karate. Just branching out of Florida. I love the double elimination fighting. I love the rule sets for a lot of the stuff. So it's pretty awesome. They've partnered with Waco, so a lot of moving and shaking with USA Sport Karate, especially now getting busy in other states. So it's awesome to be a part of that team.
Now, what town in Georgia was your tournament?
We did it in Dunwoody. Originally, it was supposed to be at the convention center as part of a huge fitness expo. They had
cool.
Weightlifting and bodybuilding, and they had a big fitness expo. But about a month out, that expo got canceled.
Okay, got it.
So we were trying to work together and partner with powerlifting competition and a couple other vendors who wanted to try to keep some of it alive. But at the end of the day, it wasn't, worthwhile to kind of try to put all that together. So luckily, through my assistant instructor Gunner Breed, he's a NASCAR competitor as well. He has connections through a church, and so luckily they weren't rented out, and we got a space, and so we got to move that and shake it up and do all that. Like I said, luckily Travis hit me up with the hey man, what are you doing? What time am I supposed to be at the convention center tomorrow? I'd be like, new location.
So why did the other one cancel?
I have no idea. There's the people who are in charge of promoters of the event called and said, "Hey, we've got bad news. We're gonna have to cancel the event. So these are your options."
Because it sounds a little like Bill Viola's old event.
Yeah, well, yeah, something like not to the prestige of like the Arnold or nothing like that, but like it was kind of a fitness expo, CrossFit Games kind of ordeal. I didn't know what exactly they had planned everything, but they had rented out like the Georgia Convention Center is pretty big, so they had like 3 or 4 different of the halls, so they had different events going on. I knew they were trying to get a jiu-jitsu competition, so for a while, obviously a lot of that didn't pan out, but persevered through and had an amazing event and provided a great quality product for everybody who came and was attended, and we were grateful for those people. So that was awesome.
So what's the biggest thing that you're going to shoot for next year, or biggest thing that you learned that you're going to make sure you change for next year?
I don't want to get on the same date or too super close to other dates where other people are around. Again, we were part of the fitness expo, so we just fell into their date and ended up keeping that date month out. So I'm not necessarily sure I'd be pigeonholed into the same exact weekend or anything like that. I just kind of want to make sure that spread it out a little bit. And I think that, and then solidifying the venue and being able to be in charge of that rather than waiting on other people. I think those
Right.
two things are going to be some of the bigger hurdles to overcome for next year. And then
Yeah.
you know, do some of the stuff that I don't like to do, selfishly promote a little bit more, and do some
Yeah.
more of that stuff. You can hustle in a little bit more, but
Yeah.
you learn with everything. So I think those are going to be some of
Yeah.
my big things to make sure that I keep on top of that, and then trying to make the region grow. It was also a little bit hard being the only first sport karate tournament up in North Georgia.
Sure.
So hopefully, as we're working with some of the other school owners and promoters up here, maybe we can possibly get a few more events in this area. So that'll also help with
Oh, so you're in an
promoting that.
area where there's not a lot of sport karate.
No, that's not true at all. I am in an area saturated with a
That's what I
ton of
thought.
sport karate. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is I don't, it's hard to be a new league and a new promoter in a new
Oh, gotcha,
and open and cracking into it. So, making sure you don't conflict with the other events, making sure that, maybe you bring one or two more in to kind of work it out. Maybe bring one of those guys on, maybe do a league co-op thing, try to bring in people together kind of ordeal will help that out and help everybody out in a way. So, looking to
Yeah,
expand and do some cool things like that.
I think there's been a tournament in Georgia like the past 3 or 4 weeks or something like that.
There's tournaments in Georgia anywhere and everywhere, north, south, east, and
This
west.
weekend, Micah had his turn. Michael Williams had his
Yes, on the
tournament.
21st. Yep. Same way as Charlotte.
Yeah,
Yep.
Charlotte. So
Yeah.
So, but I asked that question because that was something that's part of one of my advice. Is always look at, all right, what's the one thing, or usually it's more than one thing, but what's the one thing that maybe didn't go so well that you definitely are going to fix? You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely.
And that's always the thing. It's like what drives me nuts with tournaments when something goes wrong, and then that biggest issue wasn't fixed, right?
Right. See,
It's like,
you hear the same complaint the next year. It's the same. Yeah.
right. It shouldn't be that each time. If you got a different one, you say, okay, well, we're trying to fix one, and then something's always going to happen, especially if the tournament grows. Or what happens
Right.
sometimes with tournaments, they have a great first year and they have like 400 competitors, and then they over prepare thinking that it's going to be the same, and then the next year it's half that, right? So there's different things that you just have to flow with. So, and I'm sure we're going to talk more about this, but I'm proud of you, man. And let's keep it going, man. Let's keep it going.
Sir.
So
maybe one day be like the Grand Slam.
Yeah. I keep getting that question all weekend, man.
I know. I listen. I don't bring it up too often. I just always mention that I loved it.
I know. I love it too, man. So, but
let's stay on that real quick because I want to mention one thing about Grand Slam. Because and Jeff, I mentioned just about anything I want. Now I don't mention the Grand Slam that much, right?
Right.
Okay. Here's why you're going to do the Grand Slam again. Okay. I didn't put it in form of a question. I didn't say might. Here's why you're going to. Okay. In 10 years, 12, right? Ooh, it will be hard for you to start that up again. Not that you wouldn't or couldn't or you won't.
Right.
But man, to be able to look back and go, it's already been going. This is a lot easier. We got a machine and just keep it well oiled. We'll be all right. Now, maybe you do it for 10 more years and that's it. Right.
Right.
The guy in
right.
Roy's like, no, I want nothing to do with it. All right. But think about it. Would you really look back and go, yeah, I don't, I'm glad I never did the tournament again. I just can't see you looking back and saying,
you're right.
I'm glad I never did it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's some other opportunities that continue to keep coming my way. And so things just may change, right? It may not be the same. It's obviously won't be the same, but I definitely see, doing tournaments again. So yeah.
Cool. All right.
So that'll happen. All right. So we talked about K-Talk. We're going to get into scoring system for sport karate. That is actually like the theme of the day's show. But before that happens, I do want to share about just the great event I went to in Charlotte. And then some of these topics kind of come from that, but it's not negativity. It's just things about how we can improve. So Daryl Carter had his first event. This is his first time being a promoter. This dude really worked hard and made it different. Oh man, I wish I had the crowns in here. He gave like crowns for grand championship. So I won 2 of those. And that was pretty cool. And then the belts they gave for the fighting grands were like legit, like WWE style belts, man. Like,
Things are expensive too to get.
yeah.
It's
So
not easy.
Yeah,
that was sick. To do an event in Charlotte is expensive. I'm just going to tell you that. And security, there's a lot of different things people weren't used to. I know, like
what?
So, well, you know, getting scanned before you go into a tournament, right? Just that's not something you're always.
What did you say?
Yeah, you have to go through, like if you're going through like the airport,
Like
you know.
PSA?
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah,
You had to do the with the hands up.
Yeah, you
like-
want. Nah, you didn't get the smell joint. You definitely
No,
had
you
the
didn't
wand,
have all
though.
of that. No.
You definitely
they
had the
wasn't that
wand.
much. You had to open up your bags and things like that. So my dad had to go back in and put his pocket knife back in the car, things like that, you know. And listen, we're in North Carolina, Virginia, South Carolina. We got a lot of good old boys as well, you know, that are coming from all over. There were a lot of old guys mad about having to go back
to the car.
Yeah. Well, and that was
as I would be surprised myself. I'd be like, "Excuse me,
yeah.
What state are we in, my
Brett
friend?
has-
This is different. How do you get commas in?"
Yeah. So that was the one thing that one of the guys asked. He's like, "Hey, you know, like this is a karate tournament, so they're gonna have weapons and things, right? So just check it and make sure it's not, you know, like really sharp and things like that." So I think overall they were doing their best, you know, to make it smooth for everybody. You know, I think overall on Daryl's end, he did everything right. The only thing that I think, and I guess this was more on the venues end, was they needed to have more people at the concessions. Apparently, there was like one person working at concessions, so that needs to improve. But yeah, but man, we started at 10:15. We're done by 4. So, you know, 6 hours, over 300 competitors. You know, lots of great competition. You know, like in the house for forms was Amber Rutherford. She came down. Rissa Kalar from Georgia came up. You had Sam. He came all the way from Florida and with his team, his crew. I was there. You had all of Floyd Sport Karate there. You had some people from Maryland there. So there's a lot of different people. Mom said there was more work in a concession. All right, cool. I'm not listening to my brother no more. My brother's the one that told me that. And I'll explain to you why.
Think about that though. Maybe there was at a time where he was like, dude, I went there and there was one person. Right. And if you think about it like a tournament, you can't have too many. You can't have there's no such thing as a surplus of these things. You can't have too many people at registration. Everyone will be needed. Right? You could have 12 people, right? You will use all 12, right? You can't have too many people at concessions. You'll use them all. Like, all right, well, nobody's coming up here. All right, well, maybe you can yada da da and clean this up. Got to make it. And you can't have too much parking.
Right.
There's no parking. I think many of those things. You need
parking was $15. So some people weren't used to that tournament. 15, only 15.
Oh,
not
I
50.
No.
All right,
no, this isn't
50. We have to walk down the way and cut, ride together or something.
That is like Philadelphia and New York City prices.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I mean, DC Capital Classics is like 45 or something like that. It's crazy. But yeah, dude, Daryl did an amazing job. Put on a great event, had great support. And just for his grand champion. So Brianna Nurse came down for fighting and she won the women's grand championship. And then Justice Floyd won the point fighting championship, the men's over Kevin Walker. And then FSK won the men's team fighting, I believe, over GPK.
That's a huge win.
That was good. And then I won the men. I mean the weapons grand as well as the forms grand. So, man, he was putting out great $500 for each grand for that, $1,000 for fighting, and $1,000 for fighting for the women. So,
Yeah.
so it was
Yo.
good, man. Lots of good stuff, lots of fun times. And, for me, I had 15 students going. There's a lot of people that brought big teams, but it was cool because this is my first tournament that my nephew competed at. That was like a bigger tournament, right? That wasn't just like
Nice.
only one. Yeah. So that was fun for him to experience that, going in a division of like 15 and 10 and 12, and realize, okay, I need to practice more. Okay. But he had such a great attitude about it and was just
He had a
enjoying it.
good takeaway from it, huh?
That's
Oh
awesome.
yeah. And it was cool too, because everyone was there. My parents came down, brother and family, all that were there to support.
And how old is
So
he?
it was he's 9. So
Yeah, all you want is a positive experience. That's what you
Right.
want.
All you
Exactly.
ever want.
That's all you want.
Yep. So it was good for everybody in my family to see everyone again, because
Yeah, of
I grew
course.
up going to
Yes.
tournaments in that place, going to tournaments there. So that was a lot of fun. And then, it's been a while since my family has seen me compete, and so that was fun, but it was a little stressful because honestly, like, my dad sits and watches and just has fun and just tells me how great I am. So I love that. That's great. Right. My brother and my mom, like, Jeff, you got to go. You're next. You're next. I'm like, yeah, calm down. I'm coaching over here. I'm also coordinating the tournament too. So I was doing a lot of things, and I'm just like, listen, calm down. I got it. It's okay. Like, I know how to turn that switch on and off. I got this still. But no, it was really fun just to have them, to be there. Something my brother and I used to do back in the day was, I guess about 10 years ago, was he would make a lot of my music for me when I would compete. Right. And so
Right.
sometimes, right, we would change and edit the music before finals and everything like that. And so we didn't have time for all that. I chose to do musical weapons, and I forgot to pick music. And so, which is something I normally do anyways, right? But
Yes. Sounds like us.
for these tournaments, like, my instructor also competes too. So we try to make sure that I'm in one division, he's in the other. Well, they only have one 35 plus like division. So I did 35 plus musical and he did 35 plus creative. So I did that, and none of my music would like download it on my iPad. So I'm like, well, this is going to take forever. So my brother just picked a song and
No.
like literally 5 seconds, and I went out there and did
No.
it. And what's so funny is that, like, somehow I
Please
end
tell
up
me it was
hitting
like a Christmas song or something.
No, I didn't do that. No, it was like a story of the year. So it was like a rock anthem type thing from back in the day, from maybe the 2000s. But like somehow I end up hitting beats, and it's like it wasn't planned, but it makes it look like it was planned. Like, it was just kind of funny how that works. But yeah, so it was a lot of fun. It was great being there with my family. Great being there with so many great people, and competing, with high level people. I did traditional weapon. I won all my divisions as well. I did traditional weapons, musical weapons, Korean and Japanese. So it was fun getting out there and doing stuff I hadn't done in a while. So
What you run, Kokudai?
see, there you go. You knew it. I did. I did.
I had to ask.
Yeah, I did Kakudai, and then I did traditional bow. I did Tsunaki no Kansho for traditional bow. So
Okay,
and man,
okay.
that division was packed. It was myself, Amber Rutherford doing the oar, Rissa
Yep.
Kalar doing the sword, Sam, Sam did the sword, and then we had other guy from Florida as well, from Miami, that was up there doing the boat. So
No.
it was packed, man. And that's one of the things that I'm going to get into about judging as well, because this one
Okay.
was the craziest looking scoring that you've ever seen, right?
Oh
So-
yeah. Oh yeah. I've been there, done that one.
So when we get into that, a lot of these tournaments still in our area want to have 5 judges, right? And they're trying their best to
Okay.
still do it, especially for forms. And really, most people have kind of gone away from that, right? Oh, my bad. Did the bow. Oh, yeah. Christian was in there too. We had like 6, 7 people in that. My bad. Yes, you did the bow. My bad, Sam.
Chris,
And
yeah.
yes, Chris Burns. Yep, there he is. Bynes. Sorry, Chris Bynes. Yes, he's an awesome dude as well. So it was great to compete against him. All right. Sorry, guys.
No.
And then-
no.
what happens is, do you guys, let's just go with the judging thing, right? 3, 5, or 7 judges. What would you prefer and why?
There's no point for 7.
What about in
7 is
grand?
ceremonial
Ceremonial
grand
for
champion.
grands,
That's
do we
it. You
really
got
need?
people that you got to make sure they get a say. But other than that, I don't see ever see a point for 7 either. I'm not a big
Right.
fan of it. 5 is fine. If you can get them, and if you can get quality 5 is fine. 3 is good if you got quality 3. I don't think it's
Yep.
necessarily within the numbers. I think it's within the quality of scoring what division you're in. If you're an old
Yeah.
school karate guy, I don't think you should be in CMX though.
Right.
If you're
Right.
just CMX only, I don't think you should be doing Japanese Okinawan or Korean.
Yes.
Unless
Correct.
you're qualified to be in each one of those things. I think we have
Yes.
enough people that we should start working towards that. And then therefore I think the conversation of 3, 5, or 7 kind of goes away a little bit.
You're 100% right on, and then we talked about this on the show. Just use myself as an example. The one of the times I was judging recently was just within this last year. Someone comes up to me and says, "Hey, Alex, you're not going to judge the Japanese division because people think you hate Japanese forms." I'm like, "Wait, what?" And they're like, "Yeah, this is not your thing. Just don't even worry about it." And I'm like, "Well."
Right.
At first I was like taken back, but then I'm like,
Oh,
this is so appropriate. Why is it just me though? All right. Because I started thinking about it. I'm like, I'm just a couple of years removed from competing, from being in this. Right. I'm actually pretty fresh. But I don't disagree with the statement to pull me out. In fact, I think we should do it more. I think we should cherry pick a little bit. But then the logistics gets hard, right? To say like, all right, because how many please take this respectfully. How many Chris Walkers and Jeff Dosses do you really have that you can put in any division and everybody's going to be okay, right? There's just not that many, right? So, and if there were, you guys would be in higher demand, right? So, I mean, sure, if you want to just use myself as an example again, right? If you wanted to put me in creative form, like, sure, that would be, I don't think anybody would be upset about that, right?
Nope.
But then it's like, okay, well, now you're in the Japanese Okinawan division. Alex doesn't
soft
even like this
styles.
anyway. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay, pull me out of that. But now, why are we having this person or that person judge this?
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
do you see what I'm saying? I'm rambling a bit, but I want to know your opinion. What's your take?
What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, like I said, I think we have enough people and qualified people at this point where we can start kind of moving people around. I'm not saying go this extreme, but you could put all Japanese Okinawan forms competitors in ring number 1 from 5 and under all the way, or just even if it's just black belt and you want to do underbelts a little bit differently, that's fine. Black belt, national events, whatever. Put all Japanese Okinawan forms in this ring with these judges, Korean forms with this ring and this judges, soft style with this ring and this judges. And then when they're done, there's the next division and run them in. Fighting judges with fighting people, just kind of run it a little bit.
That was
Maybe,
like
I know
how
that's a little extreme for some people who do like a bunch of divisions and back and forth and all of that. We can stagger the divisions. This one goes 18 up and then all the way down to the 5, and this one starts at 5 and goes all the way up. Maybe 1 or 2 crossovers in there, but you're going to have a little more of a leeway in there with that. But I mean, we have logistic problems no matter what we do and everything that we do already. So, I mean, if we want to kind of work around some of this stuff, there are options to try, and I'd like to see that, and I might try that myself, honestly. But there are options to do these things.
Well, it's really it has to change the way you juggle the schedule.
Egos, Brett. Sorry,
like Brett's. He's right. It is about ego.
I want to
like okay, like at AKA, I started judging at 9 a.m. Okay, and I judged till the last division was out of the ballroom before they cleared everybody out, and all I judged was fighting the whole day from 9 a.m. to the end of the day. it was constant, was fighting. So that is possible. It can be done. I don't know if they intended it to be that way.
Right.
Had to, but
Okay.
that's all that was in that ring. It was just, here's another fight, here's another fight, here's another fight. It was just kept going.
Battle kind of did that too. Battle kind of did that too. Yeah.
Yeah, Battle does that. 'Cause we I've been in Greg's ear for the last couple of years about some of this stuff. And he listens each year. It's not perfect, like we talked about earlier, Jeff. Not always perfect, and you're gonna get all of the changes, but there's something that's changed, something that's different, there's something that's moved around that's been listened to. Drew, to your comment about the rules being more like gymnastics, that would train more judges, qualify and require, I think, more judges. You'd have a technical judge, and you'd have the performance judge, and then you'd have like different people looking at different things, and you'd have to have specific people. And if you don't have enough people for each thing, or you have to pay those people to be there to guarantee that you have each person in each field, I think that gets a little shaky and a little harder to do. The relative scoring with just put, hey, if you're in Ishinru, you're a Shotokan, and you're a Goju guy, y'all can do the Japanese. I really wouldn't want y'all doing soft style. Your ITF, your WTF, and your ATA, cool. Y'all can go over there in the Korean. Y'all have a bit better of an understanding in that, and then we have at least a little bit of a better way to go.
Well, and even
so
then,
I mean, again,
you start getting different winners, right? Like if you put, if you got some real, Jeff, throw some names out that would be the perfect Korean judges, right? If you got them, and now all of a sudden you get completely different winners, right?
Right.
Maybe those should have been the winners all along, right? And everything else you were seeing before, right?
Yeah, but now we're diving down a rabbit hole,
now,
Mr. Alex.
But
You're not wrong, but yeah.
But
no, yeah.
What are we going to do as competitors? All you can say, what we're going to do is we're going to go, oh, now seeing that, I change what I do so that I can win. They put rules in place, and the moment competitors get there, they go, oh, how do I circumvent the rule? Where's the loophole? What do I need to do? How do I toe the line? This is the moment the rule is listed out. How do I win? How do I make myself win for what this rule is, or for what is consistently being called the winner, right? Oh, they like super high kicks where you go vertical. Guess I'm going to be stretching all day, every day now, right? That's just what people are going to do.
Yeah, people adjust the rules anyway.
Right. So there's a lot to this. This honestly, like what we're talking about, really sounds like Super Grands, because that was how everything was. And when you
waiting for you to say it, Jeff. But
again, when you have a week long event, you can do that as well.
Yes.
Now it was, and because when it was 4 days or 5 days, you didn't have to do everything on one day, but there's still a lot of people doing a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? So for me, when I was competing, I would have maybe 2 divisions on one day, 2 on another, 1 on another, 1 on another. So it wasn't too bad. But some people that were doing like 21 divisions, well, every day they had like 5 to 7, like it was nuts. So they're running around everywhere. But you had your Japanese ring, you had your Korean ring, you had your musical ring, you had your continuous fighting rings, you had your point fighting rings, you had your breaking ring, you had things like that judges that were focused on that and were good at that. So that was something that was always cool. And to your point, what you were talking about, Alex, when you had those judges, there were some people who were upset because some people's tournaments weren't having those quality of judges at those events. So the seating, when they get there, were like, well, I won all year long and I got 6 at Super Grands. Well, tough crap. That's what's great about a Super Grands type thing, because you have to win the title there. And that's what was, when people always say, oh, you'll never win as a wild card or as a low seed. That's not true, because you have quality judges there. And also you had quality judges in the Grands too, that really judged the forms based on the criteria. Was that the best in his style versus did you execute that like a Japanese form should be? Or is it's not just, oh, I like Japanese forms, or I like soft style forms, or I like Kempo forms. It's who did their style the best for that. And that's where it should be, right? So that
Well,
was
and I
what was
like the
really
way you
cool.
said that, because there's been people who have been guilty of doing Korean forms like a Japanese form, and vice versa.
Right.
People doing a
Right.
Japanese form and kicking like they're doing a Korean form. And you're like,
Right.
you're trying to mix the stuff, right?
Yeah. Right.
You're
I've
not
judged some
you're not
things.
winning it at either of these scenarios.
Right. Right.
But it's funny.
Yeah.
Some people do.
Some people do
You
what?
Do
see,
what?
some people do. I see some Korean Japanese stuff.
Oh, where they win like
Less
that?
Oh, yeah.
Korean Japanese stuff that win rather than more Japanese Korean that wins. If you look at it,
Say that
a lot
again.
of the Korean, so people who do both.
Yeah.
Just for example, people who do Japanese and Korean forms.
Right.
You'll see a lot of the Korean influence. So the people will just use a full block. I don't care, Shuto. You'll see people who don't matter, no matter what they do, hold their hands in
Mhm.
different positions, no matter what style block they're, no matter which form they're doing.
Oh, they're
I see
going to do the same thing no matter
the
what.
same knife hand block in their Korean form as I see in their Japanese form. One gets away
Right.
with it versus the other. You don't really see too many Korean
Right.
hand styled winning in Japanese, but you can see a Japanese
agree.
style winning in Korean. That's what
Yeah.
I mean.
Right.
In
Yes.
that
Right.
realm.
I agree with that.
And more
No,
of the
that's-
Japanese style stances and way they block out and set up the forms in the Korean style now is still what wins over some of the higher, bouncier, traditional like ITF style forms and things like that. You couldn't have, I don't think in NASCAR, from what I've seen, a lot of a traditional, a beautiful WTF champion and an ITF champion come in and beat Jeff in Korean forms. I think Jeff has amazing basics and he does things that way too. But I don't think, even if it's not Jeff, if it's somebody else, I don't think that they're going to beat in the sport karate version of how we do Korean forms. Japanese
so
will
much-
now.
Right.
But
Right.
you know
No,
what I mean?
you're
That's
right
what
on
Jeff
that.
was saying. Does it qualify based
Right.
upon the criteria that
And
that's
yeah. And Chris, the hardest part about all this is figuring out where's the line, because it's still an open sport, right? So like for me,
correct?
I've toyed with so many things. I go super traditional, and sometimes people are telling me, "Yo, that's too traditional."
Yeah.
No one understands that. Stop with so much sine wave. Stop with doing the kicks at the angles, things like that, right?
Yes.
But then I get to the other end, we're like, whoa, that's too much, or whatnot. So
Yeah.
it's really difficult. You got to figure it out. And that's why sometimes you see people, all right, stick to the forms that are basic or that look as Shotokan as they can, right? And
Yes.
Brian, you're right. Shotokan does well in Korean because honestly, the only difference, like the
Dunks it up.
angle,
Yeah,
the
yes.
angle,
That's what I
yeah,
mean.
but the
Versus
angle of
forward, versus
your-
out, versus
the
up.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not that much difference. Your elbow is still here, unlike it's not like this, right? In other
Yes.
styles of Okinawan.
Yes.
So the only difference is I'm folding or I'm going this way, but the way it ends is pretty similar. So there's not, and then both styles are focused on blading it and keeping it together, where other Okinawan ones are fingers and stuff like that apart. So yes, the Shotokan adapt very well to the Korean and vice versa. The Korean styles adapt better to a Shotokan form than doing something else. Actually, I don't know about that.
Korean karate.
Actually, I don't know about that. I think a lot. Actually, truthfully, Korean stylists, I think, in some ways, adapt to other styles maybe a little bit better.
They don't
Because
have to
you
kick as
think
hard. I don't have to execute the same degree of difficulty.
Right,
in
things
kicking.
aren't as hard, right? I mean, let's be honest. People forget. Diego and Pia both originally come from Taekwondo, right? Okay. You have a
Yeah.
lot of these people who originally come from Taekwondo that are, winning Japanese forms. I mean, I could list a lot of them,
Yep.
Amanda is one of them, there's a lot of these people who have been able to adapt. So,
Right.
but we went a whole nother tangent. All right.
We did, but I
before
got a question on
yes,
that though.
it also depends on the competitor. Yes, you're right
Correct.
there,
So-
Leandro.
Take like an ITF competitor, like what we were just talking about, like with the sine wave punching and everything. All right. And we get the application of it. We kind of get it. We get why. Nobody really loves the way it looks though, right?
I disagree with you, Alex. I don't think a lot of people
Okay.
understand.
Well, you're wrong. Okay.
I don't think a
That-
lot of people understand it. No,
that
no, no,
part.
no, no. I'm not wrong. No, no, I'm not wrong. You think that
I
many
know.
people
I'm just
understand?
laughing when I say it.
No, no. I think you were trying to say I'm wrong because it looks good. No, 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 no. I'm saying that I don't think that many people understand the reason for sine wave.
100%. 100%.
So that's what I
So,
mean. I don't.
but then to them,
To
It
the
looks
to the people who are uneducated about it, are like, why are they doing that up and down and bouncy and twisty and hibbity and jibbity?
Exactly.
It doesn't. It's not
Exactly.
aesthetically appealing. And
Right.
that's what I said. You can't have a traditional WTF and ITF guy come over and do what we do in our sport,
So
and
now,
then people understand and appreciate the nuances and the things that they do.
all right.
Yeah.
So now, Chris, I got a question for you.
Oh Jesus.
Let's say somebody does that though.
Okay.
Somebody does come over from the ITF
Yes.
and they do the sine wave.
Yes, sir.
What would they have to do to beat Jeff?
Depends on what form they do. And
That's what I was going to first.
They execute
It had better be
for
like
me,
the
for me
most
though. But that's for
difficult
me.
form.
I do things a lot differently than other people. So like, you know what I mean? I also have a little bit of a small, not vast, but a small understanding and appreciation for what each style brings and does. I've learned enough to appreciate enough to where I can understand when it's executed
You got
well
more than
versus
small
when it's just kind of done.
understanding. You downplay yourself too much. You have more than a small understanding.
Well, I mean, I'm not a practitioner in those arts and I don't have a black belt in them, so I don't have a vast understanding from my perspective.
All right.
So
Fair
I have a
enough.
small understanding of why and what and how it works. Not a practitioner, so I from an outside, I can understand.
Okay.
Yes,
But-
ITF and WTF do well interchanging with each other. They always had a hard time doing the ATA stuff.
But what about it though? But see, here's the
Agree.
thing. What form would they have to do to beat Jeff?
I mean, it would have to be it'd probably have to be high level because
Yeah,
It'd have to be
It'd have
like
to be
the
five.
highest.
It'd have to be master level 6 or up or something. I'd have to say.
most of them
maybe
don't
five.
even do 6 though. But
No,
Right.
they don't.
no, because in their system, the highest is a 4th and up. So you have to do the 3 4th degree forms. One day I'll explain the whole how you have to compete in ITF because I may be doing it soon. But
I'd love
it's
to know.
it's kind of
Also,
wild, man.
congratulations, Jeff. I seen that the AAU coach, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to be doing that as well. They had asked
Yeah,
me.
man.
Hand claps to you,
to be
brother.
a part of it in some way, and so regional coach worked with my availability and how much else I'm doing is also with a coach of Revolution and a competitor and everything
Right.
else that I'm doing right now. So that works out really well, and I'm excited because that's what part of my goal is to help them cross over, and then vice versa, and really
Right.
learn and grow. And so it's been a lot of fun the past 2 years being a part of that. And, I have a couple of students as well that made the team. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So
Leandro, that's a
Thank you.
good question. Like, how many of those judges would even know those forms? That's a great point. I'm
When
a
you
Korean
put Korean
I
styles in
don't
there,
know.
a few more of them, but not as many as if you go to an ITF tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. There's a lot of forms that I do that people don't even know. I mean, Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
so,
accurate.
I mean, it's just the way it is. You know what I mean? And it's funny. I don't know. We can get on into that, but it's funny how I've kind of had to like downplay the forms, go back to ones that are more basic to get the results I want. So,
Yep.
but yeah, it's kind of interesting. Never thought I'd be doing gay back, but there you go. So, all right. One thing. All right. Actually, let's go into. No, I want to get into the question, and then we'll go into our Sport Karate Confessions segment. So, we talk about 3 or 5 judges. Another thing with that, with 5 judges,
Okay.
and when you're trying to you think, oh, well, 5 judges, we'll just drop the high and low. Everything will be great, right? It's not always the case, especially when you are allowing 10s to be in the division, right? So here's the problem with 10s. Like, well, that's fine. 10s are okay. Yeah, but not when you're telling people you can only do one of this, one of this, one of this. So you're technically ranking everyone, right?
Right.
Well, if you're ranking everyone but giving scores, but your scoring system is different than the person next to you, it messes everything up. My first place is a 9. Your first place was a 10. Guess what? We're going to get ties. We're going to have crazy.
That's what I was getting ready to say. You're going to have all kinds of ties, even with a high and a low, just because of the way that shifted.
So let me
two judges do it.
Let me share how this kind of is an example that happened this weekend in our traditional weapons division. Okay.
Is there a way to share the visual? Not really.
I can't. No, I don't have it set up that way. But so I'll go ahead and maybe I'll share. Literally, I'll just do the top 3 because we were really close. We were 1/100th apart, and there was a tie in there too. Okay. So one competitor, she got a 9, a 10, a 6, a 6, and a 9. All right. Three of the judges actually gave her their highest score.
Okay? Correct.
All right, first, but 2 gave 6s. The next one was a 10, a 9-8, a 9-9, a 9-8, and a 9-6.
So they were like middle of the pack, but there's a 10 thrown in there. We'll say all right, I'll say names. It was Rissa that got 3rd. Okay. That was the first one. You can say names. The event's over.
Amber's score was the second one. All right. Okay. And this is mine. I got an 8, a 9, an 8, a 9, and an 8. Okay. I was the more consistent of everyone, but I don't think I actually had one. I had one judge.
Unless that 9 gave the other somebody else a 10.
Right. I actually had one judge that gave me first, but consistent wise, I was the more consistent. We actually had the same score, Amber and I did. But when you bring it up as our 2 scores against each other, I had 3 judges that gave me a higher score than her too. So I won the division, right? That's how crazy it is. And then the person who actually had 3 judges that gave her first, she got 3rd place.
3rd place in the division because the other 2 were the so-called Russian judges on the 10th side.
Honestly, Rissa or Amber should have won that division over me because of that. But it's because of the scoring system they were in, right?
Right. If you're bringing somebody who has their highest is a 10 and the lowest is probably a 6 or a 7. Is it a 6? You said 1 for every person, and there were 6 people in the division. Then you have somebody with an 8, or 9, and a 5. Right. Yeah, that's throwing you off.
So Sam's talking about people giving the same score. They didn't actually. No one in this group. Okay, there were 1 or 2 that did give the same. Okay, they aren't supposed to, but again, even then, there were some things that, like again, if I'm at that 10 is what throws it out. So I think 10s, especially in division, should be outlawed, because another thing I heard too was that, especially in division, in grands, I think it's okay.
Yeah.
Because usually there's 5 or 7, but again, you have to come up with what your actual, I don't know. There has to be a range somewhere that makes sense.
It doesn't necessarily matter if it's the 10. It's the fact that if you decide you're going to give a 10, you now have a completely different scoring system.
Yep.
Yeah.
And nobody knew.
And there were 2 or 3 judges that gave out 10s.
Yeah.
Right.
But here's a question though. Did they drop highs and lows?
Yeah, they did.
That's what I think I think that's absolutely ridiculous. If you have 5 judges,
you drop high and low. Yeah, you've always whined about that.
But you have to just look at that situation. Those 6s killed her. At least one of them got out. She may not even have been in the top 4 if that was the case, But
then you're getting the true placement of like, we are all 5 judges. We're right here. We think you got this. All right. Yeah. But it's like, here's all 5 of us. Guess which one's like you? You don't get to know yet. Like, come on now. No, we are the judges, not just a random 3 of us. No, we are the judges.
Right. I get
So
you.
then to go back, let's circle back to your original question: 3, 5, or
Right.
7.
Right.
Then you base if you're gonna have 5, but then drop the high and low, then you're acknowledging 3 is the best. 3
True.
is okay.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I don't know, man. Chris, anything on that?
Nah, I'm with
Do
you on the no
you agree with
tens.
the
I don't like
Yeah.
the tens, and I don't. I'm not a. I don't think I don't think I've ever given out of 10. I
Yeah,
don't think I've
exactly.
ever given out of 10. I don't think anything is
I think
perfect.
I've
That's just
given
kind of how
I
that
think I've
works.
given
But I
3
think
tenths
when you give 998, 9876, 5, and then fives and fours for everybody underneath that, that gives everybody a clear cut 3 judges, 5 judges, who your first, who your second, who your third, who your fourth is, and then with the and I think with the deviation now that they don't allow too many judges to be able to have that spread, because if there was a deviation there, then that 9, that 10, that 9, that 8, and then the 2 6s and the 8 kind of feed each other. I guess, yeah. Well, no, well, 1 6 has to move up to a 7 if
Yeah,
they're doing any of that.
they don't do
9.
deviation with 5 judges though.
They don't do deviation with 5 judges, but yet they
But
don't
they cut
use
the
all
high
5
and the
judges.
low, so it's
Yeah.
a special. Now we're getting into all of that, because
No.
But maybe here's
the-
another question. Now that we have the placement, let's say there's no 10s. Okay. Let's say we all acknowledge, okay, guys, nobody's using a 10, nobody's using a 10. Okay. Now we know first is getting this, second is getting this,
That's
etc., etc., etc.
Yeah.
Should we just get rid of the 2-point deviation and acknowledge that, yes, sometimes you're going to get a 9.8, a 9.8, and a 9.4? That could be possible, right? But more often than not, you're going to get the best, truest placement. Should we be
No,
done with it?
No. I think if you're gonna go 3, you got to do the deviation.
I
Yeah.
think you got to do the
got-
deviation. You can't have
Yeah.
the one Russian judge that throws
No.
everybody
Exactly.
9-4, 9-4, 10, and you're like, wait. Oh, what
Right.
happened there? Or 9-9-9-9 and a 3, and you're like, wait,
Right.
a 3?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I think the deviation is fair. I
Right.
think
Well,
we
then
saw
that
mean,
brings
and
me to a
AKA
follow-up.
Yeah. Let's just say at AKA 2 years ago, I got, and I was told it was a mistake, but they didn't fix it. So it was 2 9s and a 5. And everyone was like, well, what? If that would happen, I would not have won, like, and
Right.
it was moved up to a 7. And the problem was that the guy got confused on who was going and everything else, but he didn't know where he was supposed to put it at. It was pretty bad. But but so there's things like that, and I've seen that many times, So I think that you gotta have that deviation. I like the way it is now because it's in the system.
Yes.
I didn't like it before when you were talking over with people and things like that.
That was the worst. That's when I
Cool.
didn't like it. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Now that the computer and the algorithm does it all for you, and it goes, oh, yes, no, boof, yep, good, done. Here we go. And then
Yeah,
and
if
then
you're
it
gonna
has a
have it
little
the way we do
asterisk
it
or
is
whatever
best.
next to it, and it lets you know that somebody had to get changed. Yeah.
Yeah, because when you had to defer, it just looked like people were
Talking about
conspiring
scores and changing
Yeah.
scores for a reason, and it
Yeah,
was my
yeah.
my student or whatever it looked like. It just didn't
It
look
looked
good.
bad.
Yeah.
Looks about as good as
All
it
right.
does with everybody sitting
So-
bunched together as it is
all right.
now.
Let's go to our next one. All right. So we got a new segment that we're going to do. It's called Sport Karate Confessions, sponsored by K-Talk Nationals. Go and check them out, guys. November 24th, going to be a huge event as always. And they always give big prize money. They always put on a big show, and they also have a lot of cool divisions they do for different styles as well. Like they do the flag kata divisions. They have soft style kung fu divisions. They have taekwondo and tang soo do divisions. They have lots going on. I think they're going to do a Korean challenge this year. So there's a lot of cool things like that. So get ready for that. But Sport Karate Confessions. All right. So this is going to be fun. This could be something that maybe, all right, you learn, especially if you were a sport karate nerd like us and you grew up, or it doesn't even have to be Sport Karate Confessions. It could be martial arts. You grew up and you associate something that, or you learned something in life differently than most normal people, right? There's that could be a thing, right? There's also things that you were confused and you thought it was a certain way for years because of sport karate, and then everyone else thought you were crazy, right? Or maybe you have a confession that, hey, I think the greatest sport karate competitor of all time is this person. And people could be like, whoa, where did you get that one? Okay, tell me why. And we'll understand it. We're not going to judge you. This is open, for everything. Or, hey, I never was a fan of this person. All right. I thought they were not that good. Wow. All right. So we're going to do that with us on here. You guys, if you want to share some in the comments, you can. If you want to in the future, DM us and share them. All right.
Yeah.
We're going to probably be doing this as well with some of our guests as well. So this is going to be fun. All right. So I'm going to start because I gave you this one as an example to let you know how to do this, Alex. And you laughed. I loved it. You loved it. And I'll let you share why as well. So, all right. So especially as we're getting ready for Diamond Nationals, it says on it, their company, their production company for the event, right? And it's John, Larry, and what was the last?
Bill Dunkley.
Bill Dunkley. All right. So growing up, the first year I went to Diamonds, or probably the first year I saw the Flyers, was like 8, 9 years old. I went to Diamonds at 10. And I'm like, JLB, JBL. Isn't it JBL? Like, why did they put it in that order? Like, I think the printer just messed up and put it in the wrong order. For years, guys, I thought that the Diamond Nationals was put on, especially as a kid, by JBL, like the people who built speakers and, all of those things, JBL, headphones and all this stuff. I literally was like, yo, this tournament, man, they know how to do it all, man. They're rich. This is going, no wonder it's so big. And it was huge, especially when we were going to it as kids. And I literally thought that. And I shared that with Alex, and Alex goes,
that's the exact same thing I thought. The exact same thing I thought. And I'm right there. I know who JLB are, right?
Right.
And I thought the exact same thing. Oh man.
That's Sam, when they were pre-pressing this, they were telling me the story. That's what I thought. I was like, oh, JBL. I know where this story's going, Jeff. And it didn't go there. It just didn't go there. It went to the speakers, and I was like, I was amused and slightly confused that it was.
Well, dude, like back in the day, those were the best cassette.
No, they weren't. No, they were good speakers.
Or especially for musical forums, like they were the best ones that would record right? The JBL ones, man. And there were so many good ones. That's a whole nother rabbit hole to get through.
Oh,
is us talking
about you gotta break out the kaboom box.
Yeah, like recording music back in the day, how like the process we used to do, man. Like how we need to break that down sometime. That would be a fun episode. I don't know about episode, but segment.
Yeah.
I think
kids wouldn't understand it. These kids today wouldn't understand. They wouldn't know what's going on with the stop on the cassette tape, and then having to like rewind just slightly so you could get the fade in right. Like that. Listen, we're not with the pencil and it's turning it back just one click so you could get it right. Oh, but listen, we're not going down that rabbit hole.
It was like a cup of coffee where people used mini discs. Remember that?
Yeah, mini discs. I thought was going to save the world. Like, yo, we got it.
Mini discs were going to take off and be the future.
And then
like
just
Fruity Loops.
Bloop, iPod.
Yeah, it was 2000 to 2001, and that was it, bro. Because that was when I used it.
Because I remember like Rudy used to do it a lot with that. Like, yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, people started like giving people mini discs to each other for their music. Yeah, I forgot about
musical forms and stuff. Yeah, it was wild. All right, so we got off.
All right,
Alex, you got one? I
have one. This one, it's about myself, but some of these can be anonymous, guys. Like if you guys chime in and be like, "Here, I got one," but you got to keep it anonymous. Like we can do that, right?
Yeah.
This was definitely myself. So we're at, I believe it. We're at the Diamonds. No, this is when we were in St. Paul. Okay, this is some of my favorite years. This is when we were in St. Paul, Minnesota. All right.
Yeah, me too.
So we're there. Now, here's the downside. Well, advantage, I should say. I know a lot of people who kind of have a lot to do with the tournament. And I know that they have a room. And so I say, hey, I lost my key to my room. Really? What's your name? Yada da da. This is my name. Here you go, sir. Boom. Here's your key. There I am. I
That
did
easy.
that. I did that a couple times. I did that a few times. Yeah. That was that was legit.
That was legit. Wow.
And I don't I can't be
didn't
the only
expect
one
that
who's ever done that. There's no way. I was the only one who's ever done that.
Probably not. Probably not.
No,
No, you know.
definitely
Like,
not.
come on, you're supposed to say,
Definitely
no, I did that. No, I know someone. Don't get quiet on me now.
I just said definitely not with a very firm tone. Definitely not.
Wow, he said
Good job.
TJ said he did that at jobs that he worked at.
That's not like the
Yeah, well,
the
craziest
best one
thing.
is you can get into anything you want to with a ladder.
Oh,
You ever seen those videos? That's a real thing.
Yes.
You get in
Yeah.
concerts, you get in stadiums, you have a ladder and a permit, and you walk with a purpose, bro. You're
Yep.
in
You get one of
somewhere.
them yellow neon vests.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
going to say that was
Oh,
my next thing. Be a parking, get an important vest.
dude, and David's right
That's
about the
amazing.
pranks. We last
Oh,
week, if you want to
oh,
hear about
yes.
pranks, listen to last week's show about some of the initiations of Team Metro. Oh, that was great.
Oh, those. Yeah, never mind. Yeah,
Yeah, I know. I knew too
Yeah.
much, and I was like
yeah.
trying to like.
We'll leave the rest. I was listening, like, but never mind.
Yeah. You remember when this happened? Yeah.
No, I
All right,
don't.
Chris. Yeah, exactly. Nothing.
I don't remember.
Chris, you got one.
A sport karate confession. I don't think I have one off the top of my head. When you were saying that, I didn't know that we were going to do a one tonight. I thought we were just talking about the new segment. I was like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, all right, we're going to talk about refereeing. So I'm a bad person on the show. No, I don't even know. No, there's some things that I don't know that I can say.
Wait.
I don't even
How
know if
far
I
do
can
we
make
wanna
them anonymous.
Oh,
Sure,
man.
you could. Jeff, you got another one?
Confessions. What do I got?
Well, I think
Yes,
there's
you do.
certain people that had nicknames in sport karate that, like, I thought of the sport karate person first instead of, like
Like
the
Magic
one who's
Johnson?
probably more famous. Yeah, of course, like Magic Johnson, right?
Magic.
Of course.
Yeah.
Now, again, I was a big basketball fan, but Magic Johnson is one of, someone who I look up to in sport karate and a great guy. And when I think of Magic Johnson, that's who I think of first,
That's just
which
Right. When
is
people talk about
crazy.
Magic, unless we're specifically talking about basketball, I think, especially down
Yeah.
in the South, you think about karate, you're like, oh, yeah, Magic. Wait.
Right. Exactly.
And you hear other people like,
Exactly.
who? Magic Johnson. Like,
yeah.
it's Karate Guy too. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I don't want to give all of mine because I could go and do a bunch because I wanted this to become a weekly thing. But yeah, like that's one of them, right?
That's maybe because you don't have a lot to confess. I got more to confess.
Oh no, I do, but every week we're gonna be doing this, so we gotta you can't tell all of them right now. Bro.
I'm not
You can't
short
jump
on
on-
material.
You're
What?
not short.
I'm
Listen,
not short on
I
material.
thought that too, but my stories and stories, that's not true, Alex. You repeat stories all the time. Shut your
All the
face.
time. All the time.
All the time.
100%.
Yeah. So
But I
True.
say it like I've never said it before. You never heard me say it like halfway. If I
All
go, I commit.
all right, so here's a good one. This one is kind of a confession, but it's more of a confession on Shelly. Shelly never really was, and for people who don't know, Shelly is my fiance, right? Shelly never really was into any sports. Like sport karate was really like the first sport that she really got into and helped, with her kids getting into it, right? So I have to explain other sports using sport karate terminology to her. Okay.
Oh,
So
That's
that is like,
amazing.
yeah, that's like
That's gotta be
amazing, right?
fun.
So I have to explain football and teams and things with sport karate, or gymnastics through sport karate, or even UFC, like things like that. Like, okay, this is I'm like, this guy, like explaining like Vince McMahon or Dana White to her, I'd have to be like, all right, so which one's the Boy Slidell? Which one's the Nazca? Which one's the, like, is this who that, like, it's really funny, right? So there's things
That's
like
awesome.
that are so much fun.
That's amazing. Yeah, I didn't even think about stuff like that. My wife is the same way. My wife played soccer and she's really good at that. But then I explain a lot of things based upon karate because that's kind of the analogies that I would use anyway. So yeah, that's pretty good. That's funny, Jeff.
Yeah, that's a good.
Vincent Dana,
It is.
who's Larry and whose voice? We know. Never mind.
Yes, good,
Before
Sam.
I
I'm
get up
glad
to do my
you're the only one.
musical, I
Yeah,
push
I'm-
shuffle on my CMX playlist and wing it. That
that's good. That's what I do as well. So
Yes, that is truly it. Unless
now
you
the
did,
question
unless
is,
you made music, that was typically the move. Whatever was on CD, you had a CD with like 10 songs
yeah.
that you would use, and you'd listen to and
Yep.
figure out. Yeah.
Now,
Well, what
another
I
question
say
though, Sam, do you
Oh,
wing it? Do you wing your form?
I was going to say I got a
Yeah,
confession. Then
yeah.
I
Go
have
ahead.
won overall grands doing weapons forms and creative or musical forms that I just made up out there on the fly.
Yeah.
On a regular enough basis. And I know there are a lot of people who do that, but like you don't really. I know, Jeff, we yes, Jeff, where we come from that era where it was just like if I made a bobble or a mistake, I was going to roll that into the next thing. I wasn't going to be so
Oh yeah.
preloaded into my set that I
Yeah.
couldn't make an adjustment and figure out some stuff, because sometimes you just got to figure it out. Sometimes you went a little too high or a little too low on that jump spin, or you got to
Or you
make
don't
that
land
steadfast adjustment. Yeah, you
clean,
don't
and
land
you're
that
like, oh,
540 right, then looks like you're dropping
looks
to
like
your
I'm
knee and
going in
throw
the
that
split.
side kick from there. You know it.
Or
There's a way to make that work.
or especially in our era, every tournament was a different floor. It was a different type of
Oh
venue,
yes.
like,
Concrete gym
these
floor. There
sliding,
was the slippery. Yeah. Oh
and then
yeah.
people trying to make their own stages, which is like the worst thing ever. You have like super hard in the middle, which is like solid, and then bouncy on the corners, which is great for people who flip and stuff. But for me, if I'm on that kind, I'm doing my multiple kicks, I'm bouncing, I'm like, oh, this is not good. I'm doing my whole form in a
In
single
these four
straight line.
squares. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
100%.
That is what's happening. Yeah. So there's things like that that are just crazy, right? But I also used to do like, dang, we're going down this again.
Yep.
I also used to do a lot of performances to Christian music at churches. So I would travel and do that. And I'm telling you, where I live, there are some churches that are super small. I'm literally like I have like 4 squares to move, like, or even less. And I'd have to make up a form, and I make up these forms on the spot, going side to side, some going down, just going down the aisleway, right? Some going like up on the pulpit. Like it was just some just standing still and just doing multiple kicks and doing slow motion stuff to make it go to the beat. Like that's the kind of,
yeah.
Kind of cool.
so
Brett,
that
you are
is
right.
actually where, what do you say?
No, Brett was like,
Donate
sometimes
them.
you go to do a move and you just like, I'm not sure I got that. I'm not sure I got that backflip today. I'm not sure I got this,
Yep.
double split kick, round kick today. We're gonna make an adjustment on the fly.
Who
That's
is
messed
guilty
up,
of
David.
that the
Not funny.
most? I think I actually think he admitted it a lot. I think Anthony Atkins did that a lot, where he would just be
Oh
like,
yeah.
Oh,
He did.
this is not where I want to be. Let me aerial to the other corner of the ring. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
But all right.
yes, he would. Yes,
It's funny though, Alex, because I'm trying to picture why and when I started doing that as a competitor. And then I go back to it and I'm thinking now, after I said that about like doing a lot of stuff for the churches and stuff, that was actually when I started like
That's when
stop
and
making
why.
forms up. Yes. So that now it makes
I think you
sense why,
stopped making forms up.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah,
he
yeah.
always had to make consistent adjustments to whatever atmosphere and whatever room he was in.
Yeah.
So you kind
Right.
of stop pre programming something, and that way you never. And for me, you never do the same form at 3-4 times in a tournament. Now you become predictable, and now it's this versus this, and you
Yeah.
change one trick or you do one thing
Right.
different. Now it's always fresh and new.
Right. I mean, and there's even like I used to love changing my intro, my walk-in music every tournament too, right? And it became
That's
all right,
correct.
what's the walk-in song that he's gonna do or you're gonna do, All right,
I went
another fun
through a
one.
year where every month every year I did a month where I did a new wrestler. When the WWF Attitude Era CD came out,
that
I
song.
did a
Oh
different.
yes.
I did a different intro every month, no matter what tournament I was in.
All right, what was your favorite one of those?
The Rock.
Okay, so I went. I think
You
before that,
didn't
so
even hesitate.
I did the
No,
97.
Stone Cold because of the glass was next, but I usually did the glass break at the end of my form. I would either do like a Webster or 540 to a split, and you'd hear and you do the shatter at the end of the form. So like I didn't.
I
The
did like
intro
the
was
97, 98 version.
okay.
So I did Vader. Vader time was one of my favorite, dude. Like it's time, it's Vader time. Like that was a cool song.
Yeah.
And then even the crazy like Psycho Sid song.
Psycho Sid. Yeah, I did the Warrior one time. That was a good one, but I did. It was for a demo, and it was in a wrestling ring or a kickboxing ring. So I did the Warrior, and I did the. Oh yeah. I had to.
Josh Bailey
From
his
Parts Unknown.
Yeah, so that was really cool. He did his whole form to the Ultimate Warrior song. It was awesome.
That's fantastic.
Oh no, that was a good. Oh, King of Kings. Yeah, that was a good one.
Well, if you were gonna do one today,
I love walking. I love walking.
What would you use?
Nothing But a G Thing. That was one of my favorite. Ain't Nothing But a G Thing, or I Missed the Bus. That was one of my. Those two.
Oh,
were my favorite.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
If you were gonna do one today, and you were gonna use a wrestling song, what would you use?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh man, like one from wrestlers today, or just me?
That's what I was gonna ask. Like
in general.
Because I'd probably get in trouble.
What? What are you gonna get in trouble?
Oh, I would probably do like DX, and just start crowd chopping. Because for a while there, that became the thing too, right? People were so into wrestling 97, 8 that people finished their form with a DX, chop.
Yes, everybody did that.
Yes, correct.
I think that's where I saw it the first time. Was at a karate tournament.
That's a confession.
I don't think I'm alone in that.
Probably not. Some innocent kid who doesn't watch professional wrestling, and all of a sudden you see a chop punch, spin chop, X, and then high punch into a 540 or something. Yeah. That's probably.
Or when people would do X outs with the X.
Yes, X out with the X. Yes. Yeah. Those were good. Those were real good.
Which one would you use, Chris?
Now, probably.
If you were to do it for me today, and you were going to use a wrestling song as an intro, what would you use?
I like what Sam said with the Hardys. I would probably now, because I would only do traditional forms, I'd probably walk out to the Taker, to be honest with you, and just make it all slow and moved out, and then do my kata to it. That's kind of what immediately popped into my head. I was like, but I would like to walk out, because I never did it to LOD. So like that would be Legion of Doom, the World Warriors. So that's just something that what a rush, and just yeah.
I could just see Jeff. I could see you doing John Cena's theme.
Hey, to be honest with you, that wouldn't be that bad. I would probably go.
It's really not a bad one.
No, it's a good one. Man, there's so many good ones, honestly. I mean, Butch Tokusala walked in to the Undertaker's. Also, Valerie Bruce did the same thing. She actually had someone like holding her, like her, and they set her down. She took this whole black drape off and then just did her form and then finished and then went back and got carried off. Dude, there's so many crazy things that people used to do in NBL in the 90s. Yes. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Well, the self-defense division.
Yeah, Butch carried her in. Yep.
maybe we should do that, for events for fighting as well. Here you go. And there are some tournaments that will
Yeah.
do that, if they do set matches and things like that. I know the Irish Open would do that. They had those DJs that were
Right.
back there. Pretty cool guys. All right. So, I mean, it could be exciting.
It could be. I mean, I'm a big, I like when some people, now are doing their forms like Cody Rhodes song, things like that. There's a lot of cool ones. Edge's music was always really cool.
Yep.
There's a lot of good ones. But yeah, I mean, Battle of Atlanta did that many times. To me, I thought whenever Jerry Fonez was a part of something, he made it like a pro wrestling event anyway. When him and Brian Ruth fought each other, that's what that was like to me. And yeah. I just remember, this is one more and then we can finish up.
Hearing
But
him tell the
this isn't
story was
sport-
even better.
This wasn't even sport karate. This was like, this guy is asking me about, this random guy from high school asked me about fighting, and fighting either in bare knuckle fights or MMA fight or kickboxing. And he's like, all right, yeah, I want to do that. I want to do that. I was like, all right, well, there's an event coming up in a couple months. He's like, yeah, but hold on. Do I get to pick my walk-in music?
That's amazing.
I was like, bro, how
That
about
is
train or like take some classes or something first?
Oh my
Like
gosh.
that's your.
No.
I'm only going to compete.
No, that's an
if you learn
important. That's an important part of being a UFC fighter, man. Like I've trained
Yeah.
UFC. Like I gotta have my theme song.
Yeah, I've trained UFC.
It's that guy.
I know it's that guy.
Comes to 3 classes and a basketball shorts and a beat up wife beater that's probably
Yep.
gray and it smells like vape juice or straight menthols. Like it is what
Yeah.
it is. I love it. It's my favorite. I get them all the time.
Yep. Oh man. We get all those guys, and then see where we live, like an hour from us. There's this thing called Street Beefs is recorded.
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Virginia.
Oh,
So,
really?
Yeah. So we get a lot of people, and people
Yeah,
from
I bet they do come in
that
here
are
and try to get
still-
trained to go over there
they're
and do street
still in
beefs.
high school. I had it the other day, and he's like, "Yeah, my mom took me up there to fight. And now I realize I need to train, and I want to come do some classes." I'm just sitting like, man, all right. And I'm like, man, all right.
Oh, we can
This is
see
gonna be-
Jeff coaching in some street beefs. Oh, this is gonna be great.
That thing is wild. I don't even know how that's legal. Like, it's like taking MMA backwards. It's nuts. But yeah,
that's
so
hilarious.
I get that, and then and for a while I got the whole. I used to fight in the Kumite, and I beat Frank Duke's speed record, and
Frank Dukes didn't even break Frank Dukes' speed record.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember seeing the first time that the original Gracie fought, and we all made fun of him because he sucked. He didn't know what he was doing. Oh man, it was wild. And I'm sitting there like trying to be
Get that
respectful,
stuff
trying to like
in
not.
towns.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like Jeff, Chris is never gonna get that many people where he's at saying that, right, Chris?
Not here in Atlanta, but in Florida where I was, we did.
Because where you're at, you said you're wait, in Florida? What? I was just gonna say it because you're so sport karate saturated. Like people just aren't.
No.
start
Where my
talking
school is here in Roswell, Georgia, I get all kinds of people coming in asking about all kinds of stuff. Listen, you get it's wild. In Florida we would get some people. When I was younger, our school was in the hood, so we would get a different group of people like, nah, I can fight. And we're like, all right, come on in. Get sidekicked in the stomach. Just it changes the whole dynamic. But no. That's a whole nother tangent about different people that come into your school. I told somebody the other day we used to have school challenges. People would come in and challenge. I challenge your instructor, like old school, like for real.
A random person would come in, be like, I want to challenge, or a
random person say, I want to challenge the black belt. And there were other schools who said, I challenge you. They were both. They were both.
This is a confession.
The randoms on the street. I'm a three. You see them all the time, still doing it. I'm a 300-0 street fighter. I want to fight the coach of the MMA gym, and you're like,
No.
This is not going to work
Well,
out, but it's great
right.
for World Star, whatever you want to put it on.
Right. And
I have a
YouTube and their
feeling we're on
YouTube
the cusp of
channel
an
and
amazing
TikTok.
story.
Yep.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Chris, I got to hear it. Do you have something like this where someone walked into school and you whooped them?
Oh no! I was a child, so this was in the 80s. No, this was. I don't think it's allowed anymore. I don't think people really do
Of
that.
course, it's not
I
allowed.
thought about now. See, I thought there was at one point where I almost went to somebody's. He was my high school teacher. He was a weapons world champion from an organization, and we'll just leave it at that. And then I had just gone and I got a silver medal at EAXA World Championships, and he was like, "Well, I'm a world champion, and yours isn't even a real world championship." And there was a small.
No.
What the
No.
heck,
No.
Chris?
We're on the cusp of a great story. Oh, he's gonna tell us
Oh
how he
man.
walked into that school, took that guy's trophy, took his world championship, and threw it against the wall. Oh my gosh, dude, I've got one like this.
His phone died. His phone died. Probably what happened.
Well, here's the thing. I'm gonna
Oh,
leave you
man.
with a great one. All right, this
All
one.
right, leave us with a great one, and we will maybe try to get Chris to share it another time.
All right, so I am at this point. I'm 20 years old. Okay, and I'm running a karate school. I'm in Minnesota. Right, no problem. This big dude comes in and he goes, "Who's the guy in charge?" Well, at that time, even though I'm only 20 years old, it is me. And I'm like, "I am. Nice to meet you. My name's Alex. Well, what can I do for you?" And he goes, "Well, I want to challenge the league guy here. Is that you?" I'm like, "Well, I am the guy here, but what do you mean challenge?" And he goes, "Well, you don't do that here?" And I'm like, "It's all right, man. Don't worry about it." Now, it just so happens, it was like a blue belt class we had. And it just so happened that we had like changed the schedule like the week before. And for some reason, we had this like 30-minute gap in the schedule for that one day. It was just messed up.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's literally just me and this guy. All right. That's it. And he goes, "Well, I want to challenge you. Come on, let's go." And I'm like, "You know what? No. And he's calling me all sorts of names. Come on, chicken." And he's calling me some other names I ain't gonna say. All right. And I'm like, "You know what? I want to beat this guy. All right. Let me call someone, see if I can get him on the phone. Be like, hey, can I just throw some pads on this guy and pound on him?" Right. And he's like, "Oh, Chris, I'm glad you're here. I'm about to tell the story, and then I want to hear yours." All right.
I'm hearing it.
So I got this guy. He's like, and finally he's like, come on. Right. So I'm like, "All right, here's some hand pads, here's some foot pads. Get yourself warmed up. Go hit that pad over there. Get yourselves warmed up." He goes, "All right." So now I'm watching him. I wanted to see, and he's got nothing. He's just a big dude. Can't kick, can't punch, can't move. I'm like, "No problem. Here we go." And I'm like, "Well, if you want some rules, here's what we'll have. We're gonna kick each other. We're gonna punch each other. Separate if you want to, but we're not gonna hold anything." And he goes, "No. You may make sure you don't run too much." And I'm like, "All right, whatever." So I just stood, I basically just moved. I'm like just inch out of his range. And I'm just kind of like, but I'm right in front of him. And I hit this guy with 360 round kicks. I hit him with everything. I hit him with step through spins. And then finally he just is like, "All right, I'm done." Right. But he's a big enough dude. He's so huge that like I'm hitting him and I'm maybe 155 pounds, right? I'm little. It is not really affecting him that much, right? Even by 360, this guy's that big and dopey, right? At the end of it, I mean, I whipped this guy. He does not touch me. He pays me $100, right? And he goes, "Well, gotta admit it, you beat me. Here you go." And he just gave me $100 and he walked out the door.
All right.
That's a good day.
Hey.
Now, when I told this to John Worley, he was pretty pissed, right? Because he's like, "You mean to tell me that you just beat the tar out of just some guy who just walked in?" And I'm like, "Well, when you put it that way, Mr. Worley,
I mean, I didn't
I guess.
maybe not really beat him up
Uh,
per se.
Yeah.
He's like, how do you know he didn't have his lawyer with him? I'm like, that is a great point, and I will never do this again.
That was ego driven. Yeah, no. Now mine was no, like the so he kind of kept doing it, and so like I wanted to challenge him, like I wanted to go to his school and be like, I was this close. My instructor was like, "You don't do that, you don't do that, you don't do that," and talked me out of it. But like I was like, because I was in high school, I was a sophomore or something, and and I had just gone to my
No. Oh.
Oh man, Chris.
Oh.
I guess someone doesn't want that shared. So,
Let's just make up the end of his story. So the instructor said, no, we don't do that. We don't do that. And then his instructor was like, here, I'll invite him over here for an open house. Right. And there'll be a prize at the end if you beat this prize winner. It ended up to be Chris, and then Chris whooped him. See, doesn't the story sound good when you say it that
there
way?
you go. Sounds-
All right, we're
that
gonna make
sounds good.
we're gonna make believe that was the story.
We're gonna make believe. As when you were talking about that, that just made me remember. Just real quick, growing up, everyone would always be like, "Oh well, you know, I'll beat you if it was boxing, or I'll, you know,
Oh man.
here,
Yeah.
I'll challenge you to boxing match, but you can't kick, you can't kick." And so I took one of my friends up on that. I said, "All right, let's go, we'll do it." And we had like just him and I at like um closed gym, and so we did it, and he was like, "But no, this is my rim. I'm a boxer," because he apparently did boxing and stuff, and he outweighs me probably by 120 pounds. And so I'm same thing. I'm not kicking nothing, and I'm just boxing him. And it lasted like 3 minutes. And he's like, "All right, I'm done. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't touch you. I can't, you know, and that hurts." And I can't. It was the same
3
thing. And
minutes.
I wasn't,
That is a
and
long
I wasn't
time.
even kicking. I wasn't even kicking. I'm just like, you know, punching the crap out of him and moving and making him miss. So, all right, finish it real fast. So
He's
before it
back.
breaks down.
I don't know what's up with this app,
All right, you're good.
but I'm back.
You're here.
Yeah, so no, cooler heads prevailed, and I didn't get to go do it. But a few years later, I saw him sparring at a karate tournament, and I entered the division, and then somehow he was no longer in the division.
Oh
I was
man.
I was a sophomore in high school waiting to go for it, and finally it was like a couple years later, like maybe 2-3 years later, I was just turned 18, and I saw him, and I wasn't even there to do the tournament. I was just there to kind of like, we had some
Yeah.
kids from the school going over there, and I was like, oh, oh, I'm
You
gonna go
saw
sign
your
up. I'm gonna go pay
opportunity.
money. I'm gonna go get my gear on. And it wasn't something like I would really have to like go compete. It was like the local tournament at one of the high school gyms in my county. And it was like, all right, but I don't care what division he's in. I'm finding that division. I'm gonna do it. And then he left, and his school left, and before the black belts competed, and then I was saddened that I wasted money to do that. But it felt good that knowing, because he saw me with my gear on, that he left.
Damn.
But no,
man.
that was one of those ones. And then even like 2 years after that, he had done some things like marketing and stuff around my instructor that my instructor didn't like. And he was like, when I said you shouldn't have done that, I maybe should have let you do that.
Yeah.
But I didn't
Yeah.
do any of that. So it was fun. But yeah, sport
Uh,
karate confession.
That's right. So bring yours next week, guys. We're going to continue doing this. And again, we want to thank our sponsor, K-Talk Nationals. Make sure you guys get ready for another great year. And, you will see them, I'm sure, at a tournament near you. So go and talk to Rick or Sue Diaz and support them. So thanks again, Chris, for joining us, man. It was a fun show talking and
Absolutely.
talking about sport martial arts stuff. Congrats on your first tournament, and
Thank you,
also
sir.
congrats, the WACO World Championships, the Junior World Championships, and everything
man.
that you did out there, and the and Pan Am's is coming up in November.
It's coming up in the World Games, adult seniors next year. We're getting ready to announce when and where USA Nationals are for this year for team tryouts for adults. Worlds in Abu Dhabi, so like it's gonna be it's gonna be a good time. So
Yeah,
keep an ear out for
I'm
Waco. We're
really
moving
glad that
along.
you're involved as much as you are in Waco with that. That's a big deal.
We talked about that a long time ago when you first started working with Rob, and
Mhm.
you know, so I thank you for putting that little bug in his ear, and then allowing that to naturally happen, because you did play a part in that for you know, them reaching out and talking to us and accepting us as part of our group. So it's been a cool thing.
Thanks, brother.
Awesome.
This has been another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. See you next week.